coming to you live from the car, North Carolina. I want to drop some knowledge about yesterday's Thursday night matchup between the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks, because I got to get this info in there so that everybody has the knowledge they need going into week 6. It's a huge week. It's kind of like we're getting towards mid-season, and the NFL is starting to get heated up. No teams with 0 wins, so everybody's got to win as far as I know, unless I'm off on those stats. So now we have a little bit of more about what's going on with these teams. So I'm going to talk a little bit about yesterday's Seahawks and 49ers game. If you watched my original video, I did predict that the 49ers would cover the spread. My thought was, at least 7. So they definitely got that last night. There were some moments where it seemed like it was in question, but generally, overall, the 49ers controlled the entire game. And when that happens, just like when the Vikings played the 49ers, when you have a team that comes out and dominates and doesn't allow a lot of room for the other team to make progress, you get attitudes and personalities start to change on the sideline. So we'll get into that in a couple of minutes. But the first thing I want to talk about is last night's game. So 49ers defeated the Seahawks. They went to the Seahawks 12th man territory, and there was some loud moments in that stadium where I wondered whether Purdy would get away with it or catch a false start penalty. But the Seahawks 12th man, it didn't turn out too well for them. In fact, there was a moment, I think, where the 49ers had 12 men on the field literally, and one of them had to run off. So there was some times in that game where I really questioned the 49ers with itness, if that makes sense. There was like a lot of brain farts by the 49ers, including that 12 men on the field, that if Geno Smith would have been Aaron Rodgers, he would have snapped the ball and there would have been a penalty and they would have been on the 1-yard line. So that kind of like football mind stuff, I guess Brock Purdy doesn't quite have. Well, not Brock Purdy, Geno Smith, as much as he's improved, he doesn't have that yet, because there was an opportunity there. I can tell you for a fact, I've seen Aaron Rodgers catch teams on that numerous times. I usually can't count the 12th man, but last night I was like, there is way too many of those San Francisco 49ers on the field. And there were. So 49ers had some woes with the penalties, and they wanted to give it away a couple times, it seemed like. But at the end of the day, they did what they were there to do, and that's win. They were the dominant team. They showed that 36-24 49ers. Brock Purdy was 18 for 28, 255 yards, 3 TDs, 0 interceptions. Geno Smith, 30 for 52 attempts, 312 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. There was also 2 forced fumbles by the San Francisco defense, 2 forced fumbles and an interception. So we had a lot of stuff going on last night. Just as I predicted, they were getting home. Bosa was licking his chops, getting after Geno Smith. There was just a lot of chaos created by San Francisco. Their edge rushers, obviously Fred Warner. Fred Warner had a forced fumble last night. He's a player that won't go one game without doing something amazing. He's that kind of a player. Scary against the Vikings, so obviously y'all know I'm a Vikings fan. So last night, 2 forced fumbles and an interception by the San Francisco defense, which is what we expect from them. So as far as the 49ers, I said 18 for 28, 255, 3 TDs, and no interceptions. So Purdy did pretty well if you played him on your fantasy team. Geno Smith, 52 attempts seems like a lot through the air, and I'll get to that in a second. 312 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. DK Metcalf, I didn't look at his stats. He had a couple catches, but he was spending a lot of the game on the sideline complaining. The female sideline reporter tried to have an interview with him, and he was, I guess, rude because they had him sitting right in front of her. He obviously said something like he didn't want to do the interview. So we got that issue of DK Metcalf's attitude kind of coming out now. And on the other side of the coin is the 49ers had several struggles during that game, including guys getting dinged up. George Kittle left the game at some point and went to the locker room, and it seemed like the second Kittle came out of the locker room, he already scored a touchdown. It was almost an immediate touchdown. So the 49ers seem to have it together. It wasn't always a perfect game, but you come out with a W, and that's what you're looking for. Last night, I told my brother not to play Kenneth Walker in this game, so I gotta eat some humble pie here, because Kenneth Walker was maybe the only bright spot for Seattle, though he had 14 carries for 32 yards, and that averages just over 2 yards a carry. That's not going to cut it as far as rushing. But as I said in my last video, the rushing game of Seattle will not come together while they have injuries on their offensive line. So everything that you see going on with Seattle is all scrambling around. There's tons of hurries. Smith is running around. He's getting sacked. There's crazy stuff happening behind the line. Kenneth Walker, 14 carries for 32 yards, 8 receptions on 8 targets for 37 yards. So I changed my mind about playing Kenneth Walker. I would actually suggest and say that Kenneth Walker is a good player to play on almost any given Sunday, because what he did was actually go into a situation against the 49ers where he was at a strong disadvantage and still managed to pull out, I think, 20 fantasy points, which is pretty amazing. So the team culture piece that I was talking about the other day definitely came into play last night. There were moments where Geno Smith looked like he was sulking on the sideline. DK Metcalf didn't want to talk. He made little cryptic comments about his teammates need to do their job. So there was a lot of that going on, some culture issues on the Seattle sideline. But that's what happens when you have a dominating team come to your stadium and you're struggling with injury issues. So welcome to the channel. Subscribe, hit the like button. I want to make one more revised statement about Sunday's Week 6 games, because I gave you my predictions. If you want to see my predictions for Week 6, check out my live videos that are published. I predicted that the Giants will beat the Bengals at home, meaning the Giants are at home against the Bengals. And I still think that's what's going to happen. The only difference now is that if you have like a Malik Neighbors on your fantasy team, you should really consider keeping abreast of the news so that you know whether Malik Neighbors is going to play this weekend. He's coming off concussion protocol, so it's, I think, maybe potentially going to be a game time decision. It looks like Devin Singletary is going to play, and I do believe the Giants will probably get up fairly early in this game, and they will rely on running Devin Singletary and Tyrone, what's his last name? Their backup running back they just picked up off of waivers, I think. So there's going to be that factor as well in that game. So if you're looking at the Bengals-Giants game, the Bengals are road favorites in that game by 3.5 points, but I don't think that the Bengals will win it. They're basically saying the Bengals will win by a touchdown right there, similar to the 49ers line. So, and if there's any other revised news, still New Orleans is still missing their main lineman. The Saints, here's news for the Saints. Saints news, the Saints are not going to play Derek Carr on Sunday. The Saints are going to play Spencer Rattler, who's a very talented rookie quarterback. Unfortunately, they're throwing him straight to the Wolves because they have their third string center, second string guard on the right, second string guard on the left. So you have no center protection. There's no pocket for the Saints. So it's going to be really difficult for Spencer Rattler to exist in that situation as a rookie. I mean, you'll donate 100. Okay. All right. Well, you see my Cash App. It's up on my page. I appreciate it. All I really need is likes and subscriptions, though. Appreciate it, though. So the Saints are still going to have the same scenario going into the game on Sunday, where they are missing the center of their offensive line protecting the quarterback. That's maybe the reason that Derek Carr is injured now. So now what they're doing is they're putting their young prospect rookie quarterback in a scenario where he will get hit. He's going to get hassled. Right now, I know that the Bucks guys are licking their chops. We got Cansey coming off of injury. The edge rusher Cansey, he's probably licking his chops to get after Spencer Rattler. And then we also have Antoine Winfield Jr. that's coming off of his injury too. So the Bucks defense isn't going to look like it looked against the Falcons. It's probably going to look better, and the Saints are going to look worse. So I believe the Saints may be favorites in that game. They are not the favorites that I would want to take. Probably you're dealing with homers in this situation. So I just wanted to drop that news. 49ers get the victory as I predicted and so forth. Check out my other predictions. Subscribe to the channel. Take care. I love you all. Bye.